Hey everybody, and welcome back to MZM Adventures. Welcome if it's your first time. We are headed out today to Chickamauga Battle Field. We're going to take y'all along for the ride. If y'all are liking our videos, give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Everybody sit down, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. So once you leave the visitor center, you can do a tour of the whole area. It is 5,300 acres total for the Chickamauga Battle Field. Right after you leave the visitor center, you turn to the right, take the first right into a little gravel parking lot. It's tour stop 1. They do have a QR code that you can scan with your phone, or you can go to the https://.stgry.app, and you can get the app for the tour. It will give you an audio tour of what happened at this area and just kind of enhance your trip just a little bit. Here are some of the cannons and stuff that were used in the battle. So this is Slocum's Louisiana Battery, 4 Napoleons, 2 Jameses, Adams Brigade, Breckinridge Division, Hills Corp, September 20th, 1863. It says, after a severe artillery duel with batteries of Negley's division near Glass Mill about noon on the 19th, the battery withdrew under the orders with loss of Lieutenant Blair and 6 men killed, 4 men wounded, 7 horses killed and wounded. The battery came into position about 10 a.m. of the 20th by order of Major Graves, Chief of Artillery, near the McDonald House, and opened. The enemy disappearing in front, the battery came into position on this position that Major Graves was mortally wounded. As the enemy's artillery fire was slackened, the brigade charged but was compelled to fall back. Casualties of the battle: 1 officer and 10 men killed, 20 men wounded, 15 horses killed, 5 wounded. So this is the battery, the cannons that you see here. And out in this field is where the battle was fought.
They encountered unexpected resistance. Dismounted Union soldiers guarded the crossings, and stubborn resistance by these Union troopers hampered Confederate attempts to cross the bridges throughout the day. Finally, that evening, overwhelming Confederate numbers pushed their way across the creek. The next day, September 19th, both armies funneled more and more troops into the battlefield. Beginning at Jay's Mill, east of here, armies collided haphazardly into each other in a bloody chaos that one Union officer later described as bushwhacking on a grand scale. Stovall's and Adams' men charged, routing Beatty's brigade.
There are quite a few monuments here along the road.
New Orleans, commanded by Captain Cuthbert
Georgia 29th Infantry.
Slocum's battery was one of the most famous units in the...
All right, we turned right out of the last parking lot we were in, and you immediately go to the left. This takes you to tour stop 2 of the Chickamauga Chattanooga National Military Park. There's another QR code here you can scan to hear what happened at this area. I'm just going to walk around and look at some of these monuments that are placed here. Statement of casualties. This is the 18th U.S. Infantry, 3rd Brigade, 1st Division, 14th Corps, September 19th to 20th, 1863. Statement of casualties: engaged 587, killed 45, wounded 159, missing 91. Total loss 295. This just tells the story of what happened on the morning of the 20th at daylight. The regiment occupied this position on the right of the brigade, which then formed the extreme left of the division, and by desperate fighting held its ground. A little bit more of the story. It's 15th U.S. Infantry. This plaque here is hardships on the Union line. Soldiers battled fatigue, thirst, and cold. On the night of September the 19th, 1863, when the first day of bloody fighting ended, the two armies regrouped and planned their strategy for the next day. The Federal left withdrew to a line which extended to your left and right from this point. The Confederate line was at your back. Already wary after the day's fighting, the Union soldiers were cold. The Union soldiers here could not rest. Their axes rang as they built breastworks of logs, rails, and earth to defend against the attacks that would come in the morning. Cold and thirsty plagued the Federals through the night. Their canteens ran dry, and the Confederates blocked their access to Chickamauga Creek and other water sources. It was unusually chilly for a September night, but with the enemy so near, campfires were prohibited, a Wisconsin soldier wrote. We had a slight frost. We lay on our arms without blankets or even coats, having thrown away everything but gun and ammunition. This one talks about the beginning of the second day. By the morning of September 20th, General Braxton Bragg had organized his Confederate army into two wings, Longstreet's on the left, Polk's here on the right. Bragg ordered Polk to attack at dawn. However, the attack was delayed, and the Federals used the first critical hours of daylight to strengthen their log breastworks.
Private August Brotnover, a Union infantryman, wrote this account of the action here on September 20th. Brotnover served in the 10th Wisconsin Infantry.
As soon as it was light, we were marched to the front, in line with the rest of our brigade. By this time, we were in good fighting condition. Everybody was anxious to go ahead and do something. We were about out of provisions, too. Even water was scarce with us. All the forenoon, we were moved around in the woods without seeing the enemy. The bullets came by our heads, and several men were hit. Then we were ordered to lay up logs for breastworks and get behind it quick. The rebels frequently advanced on our left while we were rolling logs together. Later, the attack became more general along our line, and we had to work on our breastworks at intervals when we were not being attacked. Gradually, we put in logs crosswise to protect ourselves so that we had no trouble to drive them back. We began to let them get quite near to us before firing, and in that way did great execution.
That's just a little bit of a story from part of the battle here. King's Brigade, Baird's Division, Thomas Corps, Brigadier General John H. King. The brigade held the left of the General Baird's division on the ground throughout the second day's battle until the withdrawal near sundown. The formation was in 4 lines, there being a breastwork of logs 2 feet high along the front. Between 7 and 8 a.m., the 1st Battalion, 18th Infantry was sent across the glade to the crest on the east side, taking the logs in its front with it. There it remained until forced back by the advance of Helm's Brigade of Breckinridge's division. There are monuments all along this walkway. They go pretty far back. I'm not going to go through all of them. These just tell you which infantry and division and stuff that was here during this battle. There are a few more plaques and stuff. I'm not going to read through all of them. I will put them in the video. So if you'd like to pause it, you can. Got a seal of Indiana there. This one is Barnes Brigade. Feel free to pause and read these if you would like. Each one of these monuments does have some writing on the side that tells you a little bit about the battle and what this infantry or regiment was involved in. They're kind of hard to pick up on the camera because they are etched into this stone. Doesn't come out real well. Some of them are faded with the weather. Again, you can pause if you would like to see what these are. In 19th U.S. Infantry. If you like Civil War history, this is a great place to come to. This was one of the major battles in the Civil War. Braxton Bragg's division was trying to drive the Union forces to the south to keep them out of Chattanooga. Chattanooga was the gateway to the Confederacy. It did lead to the rest of the South. Chattanooga does have a river. It is a railway connection as well. So if they could take Chattanooga, they had the ability to get supplies and everything they needed to the rest of their divisions that would move to the south and eventually conquer the Confederacy. They did drive the Union out of this area. The Union did drive north towards Tennessee and make its way into Chattanooga. The Confederacy tried to move into the area and take the high ground. They did start to get discouraged, and as things transpired, the Union forces were able to take Missionary Ridge and Lookout Mountain, which is where the Confederate armies were set up and waiting to attack in the area of Chattanooga. Once they took Lookout Mountain and Missionary Ridge and drove the Confederacy further south, they were able to take full control of the Chattanooga area, which allowed them to continue the campaign further south into the rest of the states that has seceded the Union. It's been a pretty rainy night, so there are quite a few muddy patches out here, so I have to zoom in on some of these for you. Just gonna drive through here kind of slow. Y'all can see all the monuments, and you'll see some more of the cannons set up. If you're a history buff and you're traveling through the North Georgia, Chattanooga area, be sure to stop by Chickamauga Battle Field. You could spend a whole day out here going through each one of these areas. There's some of these trails that go way back into the woods a little further. A lot more monuments and plaques that describe the battles. It is the 21st Wisconsin Infantry. And there are a lot more of these plaques and monument stones set up out through there. It is about 5 o'clock in the evening. It is getting dark about 6:30 now, so we don't have time to stop and kind of walk through and read all of this today. At each one of the tour stops, there is going to be a sign that tells you what stop it is. It is going to have a QR code that you can scan. You can listen to what happened in that area on your phone as you walk through the trails and look at some of these monuments. That's Illinois, 89th Infantry, 90th Ohio Infantry. Off in the distance there, you can see King Monument. So if you like to ride bikes and more than hike, you can bring bikes down here and ride this area as well. Make it a little bit quicker than walking all through this, and you can still see everything that there is to see. That is the Alabama Monument, 36th Ohio Infantry. Got some more cannons set up out there, another plaque describing this part of the battle. Another battlefield area. More cannon sets. There are several more monuments out here to the left. But we are fixing to head straight across the road here. As the tour continues straight, be careful, look both ways before you cross the street. This is a 2nd Brigade King Division. Part of their battery regiment. You got the flag and the tool they would use to tamp the gunpowder and the artillery into the cannon there on that one. 105th Ohio Infantry. Battery C, 1st Ohio Artillery. Once you've scanned the first QR code, it does bring up a map on your phone. I'll show it to you when I get back in the car. We are here at stop 3. And all you have to do is hit the left or right arrows on the app that it brings you up to go through each one of the different sections once you get to each one of the different stops. This is Mix Up in the Union Command. An unwise order created a perilous gap in the Union line. Shortly after 11 a.m. on September 20th, Major General William S. Rosecrans, the Union commander, received an erroneous report that Brigadier General John M. Brannan's division was out of position, which would have created a gap in the Union battle line. In fact, Brannan's men were concealed in the woods behind you, right here, right where they should have been. Brannan's line is marked along this road today by monuments and cannons. So Brannan's troops were in these woods right here behind us. And each of these monuments describes, again, one of the infantry or brigades or regiments that would have been here. And there is a story on each one of them that you can take the time to stop and read as you go along.
A one-sentence order to General Thomas J. Wood, whose Union troops were a few hundred yards to the south. The general commanding directs that you close up on Reynolds as fast as possible and support him. Because Wood saw that Brannan's men were still in position next to Reynolds, he asked his superior, General Alexander McDowell McCook, to explain the confusing order. The two decided the order must be followed, and Wood started moving his men to the north. Meaning to plug the imaginary gap in his line, Rosecrans had opened up a real gap. Unknown to the Union commanders, the real threat was not to the north where Wood was headed. Instead, the real threat was a powerful force of Confederates waiting in the woods beyond where the Georgia Monument now stands. Continue on to tour stop 4 at the Brotherton Cabin, where the tide of battle will turn.
All right, have switched over to the action camera. The battery on the other one died. Probably a little bit better for what we're doing while we're driving anyway. Turn right out of here and continue on with the tour. Got a lot more plaques and stuff along the side of the road here. Again, you can walk to or ride bikes to. All right, we are at tour stop 4. Again, they have the QR code you can scan if you haven't already. This is the Brotherton Cabin. Walk up here and take a look at it. This is War Comes to the Brothertons. The great battle raged around this family farm. At the time of the Battle of Chickamauga, George and Mary Brotherton and their children lived in a log house here. In the surrounding fields, they grazed cattle and grew corn and hay. To escape the battle, some of the Brothertons and other local families took refuge in a ravine about a mile from here. There they endured hunger and cold and prayed for their boys serving in the Confederate Army. This is Brotherton House. Looks like there is an upstairs as well. Of course, we can't get in here. They do have it all locked out. Upstairs would probably have been the sleeping quarters. Downstairs would have been the living quarters. As you can see, it would have been a very, very small upstairs area. More monuments and stuff out in the fields. Many more plaques. I'll read this one more and head back to the car. We'll be getting dark here soon and we won't be able to see a whole lot once it does. This is Confederate breakthrough. A sledgehammer-like Confederate attack smashed the Union line. The decisive event of the Battle of Chickamauga occurred here on September 20th, the second day of the battle, at 11:10 a.m., just after the last of General Wood's Union division had pulled out of line behind you, and before other Federal units could move north to fill the gap, the Confederate Army struck. It says 8 brigades, about 1,100 men of Longstreet's Confederate left wing swept across the Lafayette Road in front of us, which I'll turn back around. This is the area that they came from. So Lafayette Road is out here in front of us and charged a thin line of Federal skirmishers just behind you at the edge of the woods. The attack surprised the Federal division of Wood, Davis, and Sheridan, who were in motion and unprepared to fight. So they crossed the road over here, made their way back to the wood line right back there behind us, and that's where the battle would have commenced. There are more plaques back there describing this battle. So here's a kind of a look at what it would look like once you've scanned that QR code. We are coming up to stop 5. You can exit the tour. You can go back to the map and get navigation. This will kind of show you the area that you're in right there. And if you scroll up a little bit, it'll kind of give you a little bit of a read that you can do. And then you have a play button.
As Longstreet's wing burst forward to the north, the
As you
Vineyard
press
Field
the play
remained
button,
quiet,
it will
having
go
seen
ahead
the
and tell
heaviest
you the
fighting
story
on September 19th,
of what actually
as
happened here.
Confederates of John Bell Hood's division tried to seize the Lafayette Road in the late afternoon. Colonel John T. Wilder's brigade, located in the tree line to the west, was...
And we are here at Tour Stop 5. Again, there's the QR code on the sign there if you, again, haven't scanned it yet. Once you're in there, you don't have to back out and scan at each one. You can just hit the right or left arrow to go to whichever stop you need. There are quite a few monuments set up here and across the road in this area. Again, very good place to get out and walk, ride bikes. All right, we are at Tour Stop 6. This is the Green Eyes Tower, if any of you know the legend of Green Eyes. I'll try to find a little bit more information on it and put it in as I edit the video. This is Wilder's defense. Colonel Wilder's Lightning Brigade resisted the Confederate tide. When the Confederates broke the Union line at the Brotherton Farm on September 20th, Union units here on the southern part of the battlefield were swept away like flecks of foam on a river. The Federals were simply overwhelmed and were forced to flee. The Union Mounted Infantry Brigade of Colonel John T. Wilder witnessed the disaster. Armed with deadly 7-shot Spencer repeating rifles, Wilder's men counterattacked on foot, driving Magnagalt's Confederate brigade backwards toward Lafayette Road. 21st Michigan Infantry Detachment. Give you an idea on the size of this monument here, this tower. And the steps that lead all the way up. Again, more plaques, a lot of stuff out here to read. Sun is waning on us a little bit, so we'll get a few more of these. Couple of more plaques there if y'all want to read. This was the site of Widow Glenn's house. It was burned during the battle, September 20, 1863. Again, you can see all the monuments that line the road there. This describes the field headquarters, Army of the Cumberland. So as Rosecrans headquarters area. There's another parking area on this side of the tower, which actually has the sign for tour stop number 6, which is right down there, with the QR code that can be scanned. So here we are at tour stop number 7. I'm not gonna stop here and get out. It's got a big field over here with lots of monuments and plaques. And hello there, dear. What you doing?
Seeing more.
Here. Hey there, dear. What are y'all doing? Huh? Just out for an evening walk? Huh? Just out for an evening walk?
I want to pet him.
No, we cannot get out and pet them. Hey, dear. Eating your little dinner out there? Huh? Oh, gonna play? Looks like some young ones there. All right, here we are at tour stop number 8. This is the last tour stop. There are more monuments and stuff on past this, but this is the actual last official spot on the tour. And here's your sign with your QR code. This is Snodgrass Hill. This is called Snodgrass Cabin, and this is Agony of the Wound. The Snodgrass Cabin served as a field hospital. In 1863, George Snodgrass and his family of 9 lived in a log house here. On the second day of the Battle of Chickamauga, Union forces made a desperate stand in the woods and fields surrounding the cabin, forcing the Snodgrass family to take cover in a nearby ravine with other refugees. Thousands fell as Confederates attacked Union positions on Snodgrass Hill that afternoon. It was some of the war's bloodiest fighting, and the Snodgrass cabin soon filled with wounded. That evening, the Federals evacuated, leaving behind many wounded who could not be moved. For several days, injured soldiers from both sides were treated here. And look at the cabin. Very small, but what they lived in back in that time. Battery 1, 4th U.S. Artillery, 4 light 12-pounders. Quite a few monuments, plaques, more cannons down that way commemorating the Snodgrass Hill and battles. That's going to do it for our stops here at the Chickamauga Battle Field. We're going to make our way out and go find us something for dinner. Hope y'all enjoyed our video today. If so, give us a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and share the channel to help us grow. Remember, adventure is out there, whether it's in your own backyard or 1,000 miles away. It's up to you to find it. Bye, everybody. Have a nice day.